Guns up, people. It is 2018. First video of 2018 that I've done. Been a while since I've done one. There's been a lot to talk about. I've just been absolutely that lazy. Some of you have probably talked to me on the phone or through text or in person or whatever, and I've shared my opinions on a variety of things. Congratulations, first things first, to Stefan. You had a really great team this year. You showed it. You won even without Antonio Brown. That's really impressive in my personal opinion. So, I mean, fantastic. Good for you. Congratulations. We've had a different winner each year in this league. Of course, Purple People Eaters, Billy won it the first year. Akbar, Drew, he won it last year. And this year, Bench Warmers, Stefan, he's got it this year. So good for him. Congratulations. Great couple of potential keepers to work with, Todd Gurley, Antonio Brown. That's a heck of a toss-up and a good problem to have, in my personal opinion. It's kind of like the one I had last year with, do I keep Elliott? Do I keep David Johnson? Obviously made the wrong choice. So, but be that as it may, good for you. I'm really hoping that everybody is coming back next year. I mean, we've had a really good group of 10 this year. I'd hate to see somebody drop out. If for some reason you are planning on dropping out of the league, please let me know as soon as possible. That way we can start looking at what we want to do. I want to talk to you guys about some potential rule changes that I'm thinking about, and I wanted to run by you guys. It's not really so much rule changes per se. This crossed my mind. I've had a lot of fun playing this year, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we had another game? So a lot of leagues run their playoffs weeks 15 and 16, and we're no exception to that. We run ours 15 and 16. Thinking, what if we had our season run to week 14, or rather week 15 rather, and play playoff games in weeks 16 and 17. The thing to think about, if we were to do something like that, you can run into a problem. What if a guy is being set because their team is already locked into wherever they're going in the playoffs, and the team has no intention of starting your running back, your quarterback, your receiver, whatever the case is, tight end, maybe two or three guys on your team if you're one of these guys that likes to play with two or three guys from the same offense. So that's something to think about. I just wanted to run it by you guys, see what you think about it, and get your take on it. And if you want to do that, then let's do it. I'm all for it. And if you don't want to do that, then please, we can change that up and just stick with what we've got and not fool with that. So that was something I wanted to think about doing. I don't really see anything else that necessarily needs to be changed unless y'all have suggestions, something that we did that you did not happen to like this year. Maybe a particular rule or something, or a scoring setting or something. We should look at that as a league. Josh asked me already, what's the draft order? Hell, I don't know. How about let's wait till after the NFL draft before we start thinking about setting our draft order, and we can go from there with that. Now, one thing I did mention before, we did talk in the past when we contracted two teams and went down to 10 that we would leave the door open to expand to 12. Now, if we do that, if we keep the same 10 and two guys come along and they say, man, I really, really, really want to play in this keeper league, I think it's a great league, we have to look at how do we treat that, because those guys are coming into it without a keeper. Now, there's two ways to do that. We can let them just select an available player that's not on a roster, and I can add that. I don't really like that option. I'm not a big fan of that. I think the best way, if you're going to do that, is to allow them to basically have a compensatory selection. They get, in theory, we don't have a first-round pick. Our first-round pick is our keeper. And so the second round is whom our first-round pick is. Basically, those two teams would actually pick a player that's available in the second round based on their draft order. So that's how that would work. We could assign them whatever selection they get. I'm not a big fan of inviting people in without a keeper and just giving them an additional late round pick, like a 16th round. They just get that's really unfair. So the options would be to stick with 10 or to potentially invite some more people in, and that's a league decision as far as I'm concerned. And it's got to be something that the league wants as a whole before I would even consider asking somebody to jump in. So that's league business. Man, what about all these coaching changes? I mean, the ones that really baffle me, Chuck Pagano and Jim Caldwell getting fired. I mean, I know Pagano's missed the playoffs 3 years in a row, but the guy hasn't had his quarterback 3 years in a row either. That's not really his fault. I think he's a good coach. I think he's got a good team. I think he got a raw deal. Jim Caldwell, my God, he had a winning record. He's gotten Detroit, respectable, something that they were not for a very long time. I don't understand that. Jack Del Rio makes complete and total sense to me. He had to go. The John Gruden thing, that's I don't get it. He's been out of the game for 10 years. Some guys come back and they're great. Dick Vermeil won a Super Bowl. He also inherited a fantastic situation. Joe Gibbs, he came back after a long layoff and couldn't do much. He also inherited kind of a bad situation. It's Washington, but they spent a lot of money and brought in a ton of players for him to work with. So could that potentially be the fact that, hey, the guy's been out of the game for so long? So that's something to think about. If the Raiders make this official and they go with Gruden, whatever. I really don't think he's very good. Somebody's texting me right now. My phone's going off. One coaching hire in college, that really just baffles me, that blows my mind. I mean, yeah, there's the whole Tennessee debacle, and we could sit here and make fun of that all day if we want to. Jason Witten, I mean, he's an active NFL player that's telling people he's planning to come back another season in the NFL. He's never even coached before. You don't hire that as your head coach. Maybe a tight ends coach, inside receivers or an offensive line coach or something like that. But you're going to bring him in as the head coach? Cool, Tennessee. I think the guy did you a favor turning you down. Schiano, even with the stuff surrounding him, what he did know, didn't know, what he covered up, didn't cover up, etc., at Penn State, he's not a good coach. He wouldn't have been the right fit anyway. So the guy that got, maybe, who knows? Who cares? Screw it. It's Tennessee. Who cares? But the real one that really boggles my mind, just blows my mind, just completely, Herman Edwards at Arizona State. The guy has coached at the college level as a defensive backs coach for 1 year in like 1980 at San Jose State. And he hasn't even been in the pro game in forever, and he wasn't even good. He wasn't even a good coach. He wasn't successful with the Jets. He wasn't successful with Kansas City. What makes you think he's going to go to Arizona State and actually do better than what they were doing? I don't see it. I think that is absolutely insane. I think that's one of the nuttiest coaching hires I've ever heard in my life, quite frankly. Herman Edwards. Well, I guess Arizona State's just going to have to play to win the game now, ain't they? So Texas Tech actually fired their women's basketball coach today. And thank God. It's about time. I know 99% of people watching this video don't give a damn about Lady Raider basketball. I do. I support Texas Tech in every sport. I don't understand volleyball. I don't understand the rules. I don't understand the scoring. But if the women's volleyball team is on TV, I will sit down and watch it and hope that they win. There are many times that I think, well, they scored a point and the other team scored a point. I'm like, I just genuinely don't understand volleyball. The same way I don't understand soccer. I don't get the rules. I think the games are kind of dumb. I'm not a big fan of them. But anything Texas Tech, I'm going to support. But I have not missed a Lady Raider game since I have been in Lubbock, Texas. I've went to every one. And I don't understand how a team that returned so many players, yeah, you lost a dang good one in Yvonne Cook-Taylor, and she was fantastic. But you should not have this kind of a drop off where you're getting blown out by 40, 45, 50 points. Getting smoked at home by Texas State by 27 points. Getting massacred by College Station, butchered by Waco, butchered by Stillwater. I'm not going to say those teams' names because screw them, especially those goofballs, Xerox State, that wants to rip off all of our traditions. So definitely screw them. But getting butchered by these schools. New Mexico, for Christ's sake. Who is New Mexico? And the funny thing is, last year, we played College Station to overtime. Okay, we beat the hell out of New Mexico. What changed in a year? We just had our associate head coach that resigned day after Christmas, stating personal reasons. Apparently has had something to do on paper with, a family health concern or something like that. Maybe that is legitimately the case, or maybe she just wanted out. And if she did, I don't blame her. Candy had to go. I'm not sad about that. I've been saying it for a couple of years now that Candy is not the right person for this program. She needs to go. Now, Shimmy Gray Miller is the interim coach. Is she auditioning for a job? Kirby said, I'm not thinking that far ahead right now. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's one I'm excited about. If only we had really canned Cliff when we should have, a month and a half ago, which is what we should have done. Now we got a bowl loss on our hands. Something that was good this evening. How about that Baker Mayfield, huh? Yeah, boomer loser. Screw you guys. Now, I'm not jumping on some Georgia bandwagon or something. I was playing that Capital One Bowl Mania. I did have Georgia picked to win the national championship. Now, on the other bowls, dude, I've blown it. I'm hitting something like 40% or something ridiculously low like that. I've had bowls that I've nailed that were underdogs. I'm like, hey, this team, they're going to get them. And then I've had ones where I'm like, oh, yeah, this is a lock. I did the confidence thing. I don't know if any of y'all are playing that, but I did the confidence. And the ones I had high confidence in, oh, boy, I took some hits on that. I actually sided against Louisiana Tech. I wasn't paying attention when I set the thing. If I had, I would not. I never pick a team that just lost their head coach to win a bowl. I would not have picked SMU against Louisiana Tech. No, if I'd been paying attention about Chad Morris leaving and then Sonny coming in running a total different system, and SMU got slaughtered. And good for Louisiana Tech, great for them. Bad for Sonny. I like Sonny Dykes. I think he's a good person, a good guy, a stand-up dude, a good coach, and I think he'll do very, very well at SMU. Just not the other night in the bowl game, because he was coming in blind. It's basically like not having a coach. That's going to happen. But screw you, Baker. Screw the Sooners. And I don't care who wins now. I don't care if Alabama wins. I don't care if Clemson wins. I don't care if Georgia wins. I really don't care. But I just don't want to see them win a national championship because, damn it, we'll never hear the end of it. And there is nothing more repulsive than everything about Norman, Oklahoma. Their stupid fans, their stupid school, their stupid team, and their stupid idiot moron quarterback who is Johnny Manziel 2.0. And you know what's great is the Browns will probably make a pretty good pick at number 1. And then at number 4, they'll probably take Baker Mayfield. And it will be Manziel 2.0. And maybe it'll be the same thing. Maybe some homeless dude in the streets will tell their owner, oh, you really need to take this Baker Mayfield guy. Spare some change, brother. Maybe I spare some change, brother. I don't know. Maybe it will be Hulk Hogan. I don't know. Well, you know something, Jimmy Haslam, dude. Can you give me some change, brother? I'm down on my luck, dude. I don't know. Maybe it'll be the Hulkster that'll tell him to pick Baker Mayfield for some spare change or something. But the playoffs, NFL playoffs are starting up. I'm not excited about Carolina's chances. You get 2 Cam Newtons. One that plays below the industry standard in quarterback rating, pretty regular, and one that can put up big numbers. But the guy that we got, he's a petulant child, man. I mean, when things aren't going his way, he sits there and pouts and complains and gripes and moans and whines. And it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but I am not sure we're going to beat New Orleans in the playoffs, moving forward. I would have felt maybe better about it if we were playing at home and we had actually multiple chances to win on Sunday and beat Atlanta. And Tampa did their job. They beat New Orleans. Good for them. Atlanta did not dominate Carolina. Defense kept us in the game the whole time. And Cam, in his typical I'm not a leader self, could not get us over the edge. So I'm not excited about that. Teams I do feel good about in the playoffs, I would feel very good about New England in the AFC. I don't feel good about Pittsburgh. The rest of the AFC, things would really have to bounce those teams' way for somebody. I mean, Jacksonville, Buffalo, come on. I just don't see teams like that even making a splash. NFC, I mean, New Orleans or Minnesota. Obviously, y'all know how I feel about New Orleans. I do not want New Orleans to win anything. I want them to lose. They're playing Carolina in week 1. And if they don't, if they beat Carolina, I want them to go into the next round and lose. So, but my prediction, selection, assumption, hypothesis, whatever you want to call it, Minnesota and New England in the Super Bowl. Um, I think that's realistic. I don't see Philadelphia getting there without Carson Wentz. I mean, you just lost 6-0 to Dallas, a non-playoff team. So, I mean, what does that tell you about your chances going into crunch time? I don't see it happening. So they're pretty much done. So I'm calling Minnesota New England. I think this is finally Minnesota's year. I think Minnesota they actually have some legs. I think they can go all the way. I don't have a problem with Minnesota. I have a pseudo problem with Case Keenum. Most people know my Case Keenum story when Houston played Louisiana Tech in Ruston, and I rode him like a dog that whole game. Truth, this is not even like one of those fish stories, and the fish was this big. It's not even that. Case Keenum got so mad at me, he threw his helmet at me, and it bounced off the wall. Okay, and what the stuff I was saying to him, I don't blame him. I wished he'd hit me with it because I would have sued him and sued the University of Houston, and probably would have won. And he would have got kicked out of the game, and we would have definitely won the game. And he wouldn't have had this magnificent fourth quarter comeback. So since then, I've always had a disdain for Case Keenum. He's the right quarterback for Minnesota, though. He's the right guy to lead them, much better than Sam Bradford. So I think Minnesota's in pretty good hands. I think they're the team to beat in the NFC. So I'd love to see them go in and beat New England. And I think that they definitely can. So good for them. And how about Pat Mahomes? I mean, he had a reasonable debut against a pretty good defense. They're not the same Broncos they were. But Pat Mahomes, he did throw that interception. It's his first game. He's a rookie. That kind of thing's going to happen, especially against good defenses. If he'd went in there against the Colts or something like that and he threw an interception, I'd have question marks. But he did lead them down to the game-winning field goal, so good for Pat. I hope that's a sign of good things to come. I hope he's the starter in Kansas City next year. I think that'd be great. He's a great guy, good attitude, good player. And he's gonna be a good player in the NFL. I'm positive of that. And the Chiefs got a dang good one. So I mean, we're almost 20 minutes deep into this video. I really don't know what else to talk about that you guys would care about. Like I said before, if you got rule suggestions, if you're not playing next year for some reason, please let me know those as soon as possible so we can discuss all of that as a league. Because if we are going down to 9 teams, 8 teams, whatever, we need to find some people because I do not want to play with 8 teams. I mean, that's just, I don't know. That's silly in my opinion. So 10 is kind of industry standard. I like 12. 8, I'm not a big fan of it. So y'all let me know that. I appreciate everybody that got their money in on time. I appreciate everybody that got it into me before the conclusion of the season. Guys, I'm not a bank. Next year, let's not do that. Let's get it in at the start of the season. I hate to like pay the winner their money and then still waiting on guys' entry fee like that. I don't want to be a hard on about it or anything, but get me your money on time, please. Look, guys, looking forward to a great 2018. Anytime y'all want to talk or chat or text or whatever, let me know. I'll be glad to talk sports with any of you. Excited about next year's fantasy football season. Excited to see what happens in the NFL draft. So, y'all have a wonderful new year, and I'll hopefully do some more videos well before the beginning of next football season, so that way I'm not that lazy as I have been here recently. So we'll talk soon, guys. Guns up.